Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. Welcome to our place. As you know, Mr. Dulos was arrested today and charged with 3 counts: murder, felony murder, and kidnapping. Michelle Triconis was arrested. We've not seen her warrant, but I believe she was charged with murder as well. Additionally, one of Mr. Dulos's prior lawyers, Kent Mawini, was arrested, and we believe he was charged with conspiracy to commit murder. We are obviously chastened by the fact that the state thinks there is sufficient evidence to pursue Mr. Dulos for such serious crimes, but frankly, we are very encouraged by our preliminary review of the warrants. Very little was disclosed today that is new. And what was exposed was a shocking lack of confidence by the state in its case. Charging both murder and felony murder sounding in kidnapping suggests that the state's not sure what theory it's pursuing. Additionally, early in the case, much was made in the warrants of difficulties Mr. Dulos was having concluding the divorce with his ex-wife. That is surprisingly absent from the most recent warrant. Instead, the motive seems to be changed now to that of a financial crime, with the theory that Mr. Dulos might potentially be in a position to serve as executor or trustee of a fund maintained for the benefit of his children. We categorically deny that Mr. Dulos had any involvement in the disappearance of his wife, Jennifer, and we defy the state to prove that she is in fact dead. As far as we're concerned, Mr. Dulos is not guilty, and the warrants served today come as a great relief to us. They come as a relief because after months of listening to innuendo, suggestion, and rumor, we now have something to shoot at, and we intend to begin firing those shots at Mr. Dulos's bond hearing tomorrow morning. Additionally, the thing we found most disturbing today was the treatment of Mr. Dulos by the Connecticut State Police. Ms. Triconis was given an opportunity through her counsel to arrive, to turn herself in at her leisure, or at least given notice that the police were en route. But for our having received a tip from someone in the state police, the police would have arrived at Mr. Dulos's home before we did. But we got there first. And then when we arrived, we were told he would be taken to the state police barracks in Bridgeport, and that we would be given a copy of his arrest warrant affidavit there. We waited in the lobby for more than 3 hours to see Mr. Dulos and to get a copy of his warrant. In the meantime, Mr. Triconis' lawyer waltzed in and was immediately shown and given access to his client. We were told that we weren't going to get a copy of the affidavit until the state police press officer finished writing a press release. We raised questions about that and ultimately received the affidavit. Then we were told we could talk to Mr. Dulos on the phone later. They had to get him out of the room, and when we went outside, we saw all of your cameras were pointed at their sally ports, suggesting they were going to try to spirit him away without a meeting with us. We demanded treatment similar to that Mr. Triconis received, and we ultimately got it. So, you know, the state of Connecticut's picked this fight. The state of Connecticut sought a gag order. The state of Connecticut has thrice now driven a dagger into the presumption of innocence and into the heart of Mr. Dulos by accusing him of scandalous crimes. We are confined and constrained in what we can say at this point, so we'll simply leave it at this. If this is all the state's got, we wonder why it bothered. We are very confident in our odds at trial, and we look forward to meeting these allegations in open court beginning tomorrow morning. Having said that, we can take, I guess, some limited questions. So who's got one? Can you talk about Mr., let's say his name for me, please, Mawini? Are you concerned that a fellow attorney's been charged? How does this affect your case? Mr. Mawini has been charged. It's not apparent to us from reading Mr. Dulos's warrant why. We're going to review his warrant, Mr. Mawini's warrant, this afternoon. It is an extraordinary thing to charge a member of the bar with a crime, especially a crime as serious as conspiracy to commit murder. Mr. Mawini was an important part of our defense. We believe he was with Mr. Dulos that morning. It's easy to charge conspiracy, but now that he's been charged, he's going to be testimonially unavailable to us, at least for the time being. So we're concerned that this witness has been placed off limits.
Will Mr. Dulos be able to post the $6 million bond?
We believe that friends and family members will be, we've been in touch with the bondsman, and we believe that he will work with the bondsman to post bond tomorrow or shortly thereafter.
How does he get the money for that?
Well, I mean, that's really none of your business, is it? I mean, how did you have the money to get here today? How did you have the money to dress as well as you do? I mean, just because he's making the bond doesn't mean you have a right to know his financial affairs. Next question.
What was his mood when you spoke to him?
I don't talk about my communications with clients. Anyone else?
Does Mr. Mawini have separate attorneys, and are you coordinating with them, or do you not coordinate with them?
I don't know what he's going to do about counsel. Candidly, that was the only time we've been surprised in this file. We did not contemplate an arrest of Mr. Mawini.
And what do you think made them charge today? Was there something new, or was it just they're after the holidays, they have their stuff together?
If there's something new, they didn't tell us about it because the only thing that was new was the decision to arrest Mawini, and Mawini plays virtually no role of substance in the Dulos warrant. I know Rich Colangelo. I've known him for 25 years. I know him to be a thorough, decent, conscientious civil servant. I believe he waited until he could put together his best possible case, and this is the best he has to offer. Frankly, I'm relieved that it's just what we've seen.
You think despite Jennifer's DNA blood evidence found on multiple things in traffic case in Albany, in the garage, on vehicles, that you believe she is still alive?
I don't know whether she's dead or alive. There's circumstantial evidence that she may well be dead. I've got to see the quantity of that. I've shaken a number of your hands today, and odds are that some of my DNA is on some of the pens being used to take these notes. I'm alive. Transfer DNA is easy to accomplish. So thank you all for coming out. I'm sorry we were uncivil and didn't have enough space to provide you with a heated location, but come to court, we'll generate some heat there. See you tomorrow.